everyone, my name is Professor Warren, and today I wanted to go over just some basics that you need to know when using Microsoft Word. Now, I would show you guys how to use Google Docs, however, because our campus is a Microsoft campus, you need to be using Microsoft Word. Not only that, but a lot of the, school programs like Canvas and Blackboard, they don't do very well with submissions utilizing Google Docs. Oftentimes, they will change the formatting on those particular documents when you submit them. So for our purposes, it just benefits you to use Microsoft Word. So I'm going to show you just some basics. I'm not going to show you how to use Microsoft Word perfectly and all the features that it has, but just the ones I think you're going to need as a student. So let's start with putting your name on the page. So for MLA purposes and for our classes purposes, and a lot of your other professors might ask this, you usually need to put in the top left-hand corner your name, your professor's name, the date, and the class. Usually there's not a particular order for that, but it usually needs to be in Times New Roman 12-point font, double space. So, starting with the very basics, make sure you click on Home, this little tab that I've got right here. And we're going to click on, go here, Times New Roman, make sure we hit 12-point font. And then here, we're going to go to the paragraph, and this is the double space. This is how you double space your sentences. Now, as you probably see, if I just leave my cursor over these, it'll tell me what these things are. So if you're ever unsure what a button is, just hover your cursor over and leave it alone, and it'll tell you how to, what it is. So let's click on that. Go to double space. Now, here is where I have some students that will put this information I'm about to type into the header. I don't recommend that because if you have to put a page number, which we'll do here in a second, it will make the page number not in the corner of the right hand of the page. It'll actually bring it down further on the page. So just type this out. Don't put this in the header. So let's say our student's name is tutorial, haha, funny. We'll put English, English 110, we'll put the date, right? Actually, write out the date, I'm just putting this, as a placeholder, and then, Professor Warren. Again, always refer to your professors, however they want you to refer to them. And now we need a page number, last name page number, especially if you're doing MLA. So, now we're going to go into the header and footer section. So, let's go to Insert, and we have to go over to Header and Footer. Now, don't just insert a header, because what will happen is it'll repeat that header on every single page. So if I put a 1 using the header, well then every single page is going to say 1. So we need to actually hit page number. So let's click on page number, top of page, and then click the 1 that's on the right-hand, top right-hand corner. Now all we have to do is type in the student's last name, click off of it, and you're good to go. Now if I make another page, which here's how you can make another page without hitting the enter button multiple times, we can go to Insert. You can either do page break, I do page break, so hit page break, and now it has broken that page. Now we're on the second page without having it press the enter button multiple times. So, and we can see here, just to double check, oh look, if I make another page, it's going to keep the last name and it's going to go on to the next page number. We good with that? Okay. So, let's do a couple other things that you may need to know. So, I went ahead and I made this citation in MLA 9. This is for this particular academic article, and even though we haven't gotten to that at this point in class, for an academic article, it needs to be in Times New Roman, 12-point font, it needs to be double-spaced, and it needs a hanging indent. So, the first thing that you probably want to do is go ahead and make that Times New Roman 12-point font double-spaced, right? Well, you definitely could if you wanted to highlight over it, go to Home, and then make all those changes like we just did. However, there's an easier way to do this. It's called Format Painter. So what you do is you highlight over the text. Again, I could highlight only this part if I wanted to. Highlight over the formatted text that you want. So I want this in Times New Roman 12-point font. So highlight over what you want. Go to Home, click on this little paintbrush, it's called the Format Painter, and then highlight over what you want to change, the words in which you want the format to change. So I'm going to highlight over all this, and then bam. Now it didn't change, it didn't change the spacing, but that's nothing that's too difficult, right? But it did change Times New Roman 12 point font. So a lot of students don't know that, hey, Format Painter exists. It's very useful if you've been typing for a long time and you want to change all the format and then you have like huge pages of text that needs to be changed, right? Format Painter is a little bit easier to use. One other thing that we need to do is when you cite an MLA, an academic article, I don't know why this kept here. There we go. When you cite an academic article, the journal name needs to be in italics. So again, if you need to put something in italics, highlight over it, go to Home, hit the italics button. It's right under where you have your fonts. There you go. Now, one other thing that you're going to need to know using Microsoft Word is hanging indents. So when you are doing your references, they all have to have a hanging indent. So a hanging indent is essentially, this line is not indented, but the subsequent lines are indented. So like how you would indent a paragraph, you know, when you indent a new paragraph, you always do the first line. This is the opposite of that. So what you could do is definitely tab this over, but it will mess up the formatting. So what I would recommend you do is highlight it, go to Home, go to Paragraph, but click this little drop-down button here. This is the Settings button. Now, once you're here, go to Special, go to Hanging, hit OK. And now you've got a hanging indent, and it would continue that, you know, if I kept typing, right, it would continue that hanging indent. Now, if I hit Enter, right, and I go to the next, you know, blah, 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 the next citation, it will then move it back over. And so I'd have to, you know, highlight, go to Paragraph, hit Paragraph Settings, Hanging, and then Special. Now, I would honestly just recommend you get your citations down, and at the end of doing it, just highlight all of them and then do hanging indent. So, we've got all of this. One other thing that I want to go over, which isn't really going to affect my class. I'm not going to ask for this, but I want to show you guys because it will probably impact you in other classes. If you ever have to do a paper in APA, one of the things that you're going to have to do is have a page number, and you're going to have a running head. Now again, we're not doing APA in my class, we're doing MLA, but I want to do this just to help everyone else out. So, if we go to Insert, right, you know going to Inserts where you can do header and footer. Here's the problem. If you go to Header, and you go to put in a header, right, look what happened there. We lost the page number. That will happen. You can't have a header and a page number using those buttons at the same time. It just doesn't work. So if you're ever in a class where you need to have like a header, some text here, and a page number here, what I recommend you do is go to Insert, go to Page Number, go ahead and put that page number in, and then click over here. Always it takes me a little bit to try to find it. Let me just go back. Oh, hit the back button. Let's hit the back button. It always takes me some finagling around. You just kind of have to click around until it'll give you, there we go, until it'll give you your cursor over here, and then you can, do, if you have to do a running head, right, running head, and then, the name of this paper, we'll just call it the past tense, right, and then, there you go. So, there's if you ever need to do this. This would be for APA, this would be for any other advanced English course, or for, depending on which science you are, you might need to do this. I just wanted to show you because it's something that, a lot of people don't know, and a lot of professors won't teach you how to do this. So, one other thing that you may have noticed is that there's a reference page. I would say not to use it for our purposes, considering that We are in MLA 9, and currently, at least this version of Word is still in MLA 7, so not very helpful. In all honesty, I would just ignore the reference page on Microsoft Word. The only other thing that I will say you probably need to know is pictures, if you ever need to insert pictures into your paper. It's as easy as going to Insert, going to Pictures, and here you can either, go online, insert a device here, a picture from your device or what have you. And I believe that's all you really need to know. I mean, there's some other really good things you can do in Microsoft Word, such as inserting charts. You're able to sort of draw, things like that. But those are mostly the more helpful things. Now, before we do leave, I will say you can add Grammarly into Microsoft Word. I already have it, so I can't really show you how to do that, but it's as easy as just looking up a very simple tutorial. You can go into Google and type in, how to add Grammarly into Microsoft Word. I highly recommend doing that just because while Microsoft has a very good spell checker, it's always good to have just another one attached to catch some little tiny things that maybe Microsoft Word doesn't pick up on. So, hopefully that was helpful to all of you. Hopefully you learned something. If you have any other questions about Microsoft Word, as always, just ask me. But these are just really the basics that you need to know in order, at least in my purposes, to exceed in an undergraduate degree program. Have a good one, and I will see you guys next time.